Good evening, welcome to the Opinion Box. My name is Levi Kones. To join me in a discussion today on the final leg to the 2022 elections is David MAINA. He is the national chairman of VIJANA for UDA, as well as Dennis MBANDA, who is the AZIMIO youth leader. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
I'm glad both of you are in charge of youth. So let me start with one of the burning questions about young people. IBC just told us that young people did not register as much as they should have. I think there was a point you were here, we talked about, that was pre-registration. What's up? Why do you think that was so, guys?
Well, I don't know why we are framing it as the youth did not register, because when we look at the age group of 18 to 35, what we call the youth per se, that is 30% of the population of Kenya. But when you look at IBC's register, 18 to 35 comprises 39% of the registered voters. So if anything went above and beyond our numbers, what people might have been expecting was that because the Kenyans aged between 0 and 35 are 75% of the population, that we would see 75% of the voters as youth. That's not yet going to materialize, maybe in future elections. But for now, we've turned out in good numbers. And in fact, from IBC's 19.5 million voters in 2017, I think we're up now at 22.5, and that's largely due to the youth.
So you think it's a fallacy?
It's a fallacy that the youth are not registering. And let's remember that even in the last election, voters above, was it 50, were less than 10%. The rest were people under 50. So even those people who are not being counted as youth are people who've crossed 35 in the last 5 years. Yeah. So in a very real way, the youth vote will determine what happens on August 9th
you share
going
the same
forward.
sentiments?
No, I don't. Not so many youths registered, Levi. Because we are not giving them a reason to register as voters. And to me, the last time I was here, we were talking about the civic education. What role do we have as a country to ensure that our young people are political and not apathetic? So to me, this should be a legislative policy. The solution that I can bring on the table should be, when you turn 18 years old, by the time you're picking your ID, you should be automatically registered as a voter, because it is your democratic right to be a voter. Yes. But this time round, just like previously, young people do not have a reason to vote. So that's why you see different political sides are trying to woo them. But especially for the first-time voters, we are still not giving them good
Yeah, those
results to vote.
first-time voters,
Yes.
yeah?
Yes.
Should we just make them automatic? Like he's saying, like you get a turn 18, you get your ID. Should we be doing the drives that we are doing? Should we convince someone to vote in their country? Really?
I believe if we funded IBC well enough, adequately and on time, they would do the registration drives as per the law. The law provides that registration should be continuous throughout, whether there are elections or not. But with IBC, we see that there was a drive last year, they did another one early this year, and then after that you can go to their office and see what changes you can make, instead of doing this thing throughout. And if we look at the funding given to the IBC here, it's 40 billion shillings, yeah, if I'm not wrong. In America, the IEBC, the version of the IEBC, uses the exact same amount of money. And look at how many voters they had last election, 155 million voters. Yeah? And people could change their party in the queue. When you're queuing to vote, you could change your party. So IEBC has more than enough money to do all this work. You don't have to go and curtail people's freedoms and tell them that you have to become a registered voter at 18. In fact, if the IEBC was just doing their job, yeah, so many more people would register. I was very active in the registration of young people, and I can tell you that when the opportunity is there, in a situation where they have time, a place that they can easily access, they do register. The youth are very, very interested in voting.
We are on the final leg to 2022, and now we have 4 presidential contenders. Wajakoya, we've got Maure, we've got Ruto, and of course Raila. Now, 2 or so months ago, we were like, 55 or somewhere there. IBC was saying we were so many. Do you think it's a plus? First of all, let me just ask that we are just 4. Or do you think, there's been complaints from independent candidates, especially, that their rights are being curtailed by not just being put on the ballot in terms of democracy, and you guys can have your views, tell me. Do you think we're in a good place that we have done this, or should we just have had as many as want to try?
You know, Levi, there are rules, you understand? Because you can't just open it to everybody. Come on, Levi. The law is very clear. If you meet the requirements, then go for it. But if you don't meet the requirements to be the president of this country as a candidate, then why would we have everybody? There must be a limit. There must be requirements and conditions. We don't just need anybody who feels that they want to build a profile around their name, that in 2017, in 2022, I was a presidential candidate, then you vied. And in real sense, you do not even have the national outlook as a leader. So there are those requirements that makes you a candidate once you cleared with the IBC. Whether you're 200 of you, but when you meet the requirement, why not? So, but we're having busybodies who do not meet the requirement. So that's why we're at 5 or 4. Yeah.
Okay.
For me, let me not wade into the controversy of who is qualified and who is not qualified.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way. In the law, justice is not only to be done, but to be seen to be done. So what this means is that if these are the standards we're using to clear these candidates, those are the standards that should be used for the rest. So, for example, when you see something like Sakaja's issue, yeah, this is dogged determination to get him off the ballot. Yet some of the problems that he has apply to other people. So for me, the most important thing would be for us to look at how we qualify candidates without increasing the chance that people will go back to court and put us back into an electioneering period again. And once again, I think it comes down to rule of law.
Levi, I totally disagree. Integrity is the one of the fundamental principles that should guide our independent institutions. You cannot be a governor and you are a person of questionable character. So if it is about papers, there should be papers. What are we telling young graduates?
You see,
Exactly.
EACC sat there and told us,
Yeah.
which was really surprising, that, they would have liked to, strike off, they said 124 people.
Correct.
But then IBC, in their wisdom, decided that other people can pass through. You begin to ask yourself, if institutions cannot even agree, that one institution cannot tell the other one, and one is actually ethics and anti-corruption, tell the other one, look, hey, Levy is flawed, he should not be on the ballot. The other one says, according to how I'm seeing, I don't think so. If they cannot agree, then what are we to do? Because we say, and then we find one other person who may be guilty, hounded to the death, as others are let,
Go free.
Le-
through the loopholes.
Levi, one thing I'll tell you, as much as we are advocating for independence of this constitution, independent bodies, there should be a limit to this independence. They should be put to book to task, because we're having flawed systems like IBC. Come on, the law is very clear. So if IBC, rather the EACC, has given you the list of people that should not be cleared, your role as an IBC, in as much as it's an independent body, these people are supposed to put it to check. The constitutional framework allows the IBC to do the mandate. Now, if the constitution requires somebody to run for governor, you must have a degree. That should be the case. And if your paper is a legitimate degree. So
Because having a degree we can have.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
Yeah.
So if your papers are questionable, you did not even complete the university, what we are telling Sakaja, that go back, you had about 5 more, about when? 2013, about 10 years to complete his degree. Why didn't he? So I think Nairobi University has enough hostels, has enough space. He should go and complete his degree.
Yeah, I think what you were saying is what is good for the goose is good,
for the gander.
Yes, should be applicable
and
both
in
ways.
addition, if you'll allow me,
Yeah.
the CUE, Commission of University Education, the EACC, the DCI, and everybody else on Sakaja's case had the time to do their work since 2013. Why are they coming now to tell IBC now do this and do these other things? IBC's work is to manage elections. EACC's work is not elections. DCI's work is not elections. CUE's work is not elections. And in fact, the CUE, why is it we're always hearing from the chairman and not the CEO of that organization? Nobody even knows who the CEO of that organization is, which tells you there might be something funny going on in that CUE. So for me,
David, let me ask
what I think we should focus on is that IBC is right now on the spot, and they're tasked with delivering an election, a free, fair, and credible election, and we do not need any interference from other bodies, because right now we're even interfering with the internal affairs of Uganda. You know, the CUE's counterpart in Uganda is in court right now, trying to fend off attacks from I don't know which corners here in Kenya.
Yeah, but why are they fending off?
I
If
have
you
no
want to
idea.
inquire, you should inquire.
That's in their system, you know. We have to allow them their own sovereignty to manage their own affairs.
Yeah, but let me ask. I want to.
A quick one to
Yeah,
David.
sure.
Yes.
So, how do IBC then be able to authenticate that these are verified papers and this is a verified degree? How do they do that?
Well, I think Sakaja's papers were, because even in pre-nomination, yeah, you present papers. Yeah, and he was cleared at that stage, so why is there a double standard now
You see,
later on?
you see, that's the thing. I was just going to say, you know, in terms of I think we really need a cleanup of that system.
We do.
Yes.
Because it's impossible for me to clear you today, turn around and then say, you know, I cleared you. The due process should be done. For my clearance to come, it should be over. You know,
Yeah.
how we go to an embassy, you present your papers. When they give you a visa, if they revoke it tomorrow, you'll be really crying and saying, what do you mean? See, mlipea visa jana.
Yeah.
You know, that due process should happen way before. So I should never access a clearance letter and then have it revoked. It also speaks to, because even some of the issues we've got issues that, you know, like a gentleman from Kapseret, Oscar Sudi, but he was cleared many times over, running for MP by the same organizations. Then they jump and say, oh, you know what?
Levy,
Yeah,
believe
so
me,
there's a problem there, you know.
we need an overhaul of these entire systems. We cannot run a government as if we are running some chicken farm. We cannot, Levy. Integrity and diligence. These are key things that we need to run this government.
So which brings
That
us
is
to
why
the
in
big question.
2022
Now, who has that amongst your camps?
Let me start before you goes. To the members of the public, we are presented with about 5 people who are looking for a job, a top seat. They want to be the CEO of this country. And they've done the examination. The papers have been marked. So now we have 5 people here, 4 people, sorry, that are looking for top seat. So we, as the members of the public, we are supposed to interrogate their CVs. And their CVs is the track record. What have you done for this country? What are you known for? Now, there's somebody who was detained for 9 years and has put his life in line for this country. He's the repository of the Kenyan history. He's brought the devolution where now we have devolved systems all over the country. We have CEOs and we see money trickling down. The same person who is saying we want 35% of the national government revenue to be allocated to the county governments, and which is still clear on, keeps on pushing. He keeps on pushing. The new, the current constitution dispensation that we experienced in 2010 is as a result of this gentleman's contribution. He loses an election as a result of flawed system. He accepts and moves on, puts the country forward. The same person now coming back to the people, that after all these people were killed, there was violence and what have you. So he's also trying to bring the country, healing the country with a reconciliatory message that it is a time now as a people of this country that we need to heal the country. We need to come together as a people. That's why we say AZIMIO la umoja. That as we continue championing for economic revolution, social revolution, it is also important that we unite the 47 counties of this republic. Whether you're a Kikuyu, whether you're a Kalenjin, whether you're a Kipsigis or a Pokot, we all belong to this country. And at the end of the day, it does not matter who becomes the president. So that's the first person. The number 2 person has never done anything for this, concrete for this country, has fought the system. 2007, we know what happened. He was taken to ICC. This is somebody who has also worked with Raila Amolo Odinga, and this is William Ruto. And remember also the same person, Raila Amolo Odinga, sacked him as a result of questionable issues when he was the minister. He gave us a lot of promises in 2013. He's taking credit for the first term. Now the second term, which is finishing now, he's not taking credit because the winds have turned. So look at the promises he's given us. He's never.
What about the other two?
Yes. His manifesto is not clear enough. The agenda that he gives in the public squares, in the rallies, are things that...
Because I want to bring him in.
I'm coming. Now, the third person, this is somebody we've seen in debating in various... We've known him as a debater, as an opinion leader, but right now, this is somebody who is seeking to be famous. There's no way you, Ojokoya, you don't even smoke bang, then you want to sell us the idea of bang to young people in this country, that you're selling snakes. Come on, man. This is somebody who wants to become famous. The other person has never lived in this country long enough to know the issues this country is facing. Just came from US.
Where has he lived?
Yes. So
you see his assessment.
Yes. So it is now the members of the public. I've given you a breakdown of these four people. Vote for Raila Amolo Odinga because his history speaks louder.
You know, Levi, I'm quite amazed to hear a youth leader giving an 80-year-old politician such a panegyric. Yeah, someone who's been in politics since 1982 is when Raila made his debut in Kenyan politics, right?
Yeah.
Until today, he's still on the scene and you're saying that he's the right person to continue. What I would say about Raila Odinga is that he's a leader of the past. Yeah. And I think if we gave Raila Odinga a medal for his political efforts so that we can stop talking about the past and start talking about the future, you would write off Raila Odinga in this election. Because Raila Odinga's credentials, as they like to boast, are based on his fight for democracy.
Which is true.
But let's look at this country and see where our democracy came apart. Did you know that in the 1963 constitution that we had, after Mau Mau had fought for this country, all those freedoms were there? Those freedoms were systematically torn down by Kenyatta I administration with the help of Tom Mboya. So our politicians do this. They find good documents, good policies, a good working country. They tear it down and then tell us now we're the solutions. And then they play these musical chairs and come tell us now we're coming back again with this solution. Because look at these guys. Raila was trying to overthrow Moi in 1982.
There's no proof for that.
He came back and worked with Moi again. Oh, his conspirators were hanged, all of them. He came back and worked with Moi in 1998 as Secretary General of KANU. And then he came to tell us now Moi must go. Yeah, this is just musical chairs that Raila Odinga has been playing all through. Now, when it comes to William Ruto, William Ruto, when it comes to Raila's part in this country,
give a moment, I'll give you a time.
Raila had a very strong role in Kenya's politics because he's the one who stood with the forgotten man. When we were talking about the economy, it was Raila Odinga, with the help of David Ndii, who is now with us because he sees where our heart is. We're the ones who care for Kenyans. Yeah. So when you look at right to movement, right to speech, and it was Raila Odinga fighting for those things. True. But after 2017, after he spent his last bullet and realized that he'll never become president, is when now he went and made the deal that he made with Uhuru Kenyatta and betrayed his ideals. And who stepped in to save the day? William Samoei Arap Ruto. Because without William Samoei Arap Ruto, we would have BBI today. Today, we would be living in a tyranny. We would not have any idea about how we'd elect our leaders. In fact, our president would be picked by parliament, not even by us, according to the original BBI. So William Ruto is a champion of democracy in 2022 because of his efforts to prevent BBI from happening, because of his efforts to support the 2010 constitution. Number two, the economy is what's hurting every Kenyan today. The stone in my shoe is the economy. The stone in your shoe is the economy.
I agree.
When William Ruto was in government in 2017, when Raila Odinga was leading protests.
Was in government or still is?
You know, they made him a spectator around 2018.
David, we need to be clear. You're a young person.
They made him a spectator around 2018. Yeah? But when he was fully in government, let me say when he was fully in government as an empowered assistant of the president, the price of maize, even with protests going on in the country, with inflation, was 95 shillings. Today it's 230 shillings. I think they dropped it by 2 shillings, I'm not sure. Yeah. So what is Raila Odinga coming to give us as a solution to this price of unga? Is it, I fought for democracy? Is it I was jailed for 9 years for some...
Okay, I'll give him a right of reply.
Levy, I don't even to respond to what David is saying, because it hurts my conscience to listen to a young person like me mislead the country. Young people in this country, we have suffered enough. Levy, if you look at the population bulge against the employment rate, man is sick. I remember I graduated, I think, in 2017. I've never had a meaningful job, and that is me, and I'm politically conscious. We know how to move around. You can imagine if you do a demographic segmentation of young people. Look at the rural youth, the urban youth, the ghetto youth. Man, these people are suffering. Bro, there's no way you can look into the camera and lie to the people. We need to speak to the heart of the public, that young people, this is somebody with a lot of experience, has done something tangible to this for this country. Ruto has never done anything tangible. Right now, you cannot say that he's not the deputy president. He is. He sits, who controls the Iabc? Come on, bro. This person is lying to the public. I'm looking at you in the eye. I'm appealing to your heart, to your conscience, to your moral ethics.
You're witnessing.
Bro, we cannot mislead this country. I want to see you in 2027 or 2032 that as David, we fought for something meaningful for this country. That in 2022, when the history of this country was presented before us, young people stood up and did something for this country. That as Dennis MBANDA, I remember in 2022, I fought, sweat, blood, and voted for Raila Amolo Odinga because of what I've mentioned.
Let me ask you guys, you say the two of you are young people, yes, and young people seem to be at the center of the tussle politically.
Yes.
What do you think is what you would call really the parting difference? Other than, you know, we can speak about the personalities, the characters, the differences in age, the, differences in style, maybe even, mannerism, talking, whatnot. Let's put all that aside. What's a parting difference in ideology from UDA and AZIMIO? You tell me. What's the big difference that you would say, there's no way I'll go to AZIMIO because of this?
Well, let me put it as simply as possible in a way that every last Kenyan can understand clearly and simply. Raila Odinga said, atafuata nyayo ya Uhuru Kenyatta. That's the reason I can't be in AZIMIO.
Really?
Yeah, the country cannot, we can't afford even one more day of this kind of administration that we're in right now. The difference between now kufuata nyayo and UDA, or rather Kenya Kwanza Alliance, is that for us, this is a true liberation. Because we're looking at the colonial state that existed before Kenya had its independence. And when we look at a lot of those structures, they're still there today. And even the way we structure our economy, our politics, is to help the people at the top. And the people at the top used to be the Mzungu. It's just that they were replaced by a few people in the political class. So for us right now, what we're trying to do is make sure that the state works for the people at the bottom. So that instead of looking at how we can empower investors and a few politicians here and there, let's look at how we can make sure that internet gets down to the village level, so that people in the village can also go and become academic writers, train to become academic writers, and get incomes outside. Yeah, somebody who doesn't need government to give them any money. Once they have their laptop, they have their bundles, they can do their work. We want to empower people at the bottom.
So you're fed up, you're looking for fundamental change.
Exactly. And this is for Mwananchi. And if you look at Kenya Kwanza's manifesto, yeah, it's such a revolutionary document because the problems in Kenya were seen a long time ago. It's just that there was no political will to do anything about it. In fact, during Moi's tenure in the 80s, a problem was seen where in the year 2000, Kenya would collapse economically. And economists came together and put together Sessional Paper 1 of 1986, saying that in order to save this country, we need to make interventions that uplift Mwananchi from the bottom. And it is that thinking coupled with liberating Mwananchi politically, yeah, so the political and the economic liberation at the same time, that will enhance Mwananchi's livelihood, bring down the cost of living, strengthen their role in civic life, and make Kenya, give Kenya the kind of foundation that we need in order to be an industrial country.
Okay. What's the fundamental difference on your end?
I'll respond to him, then I give you the difference. Levy, one of the things that have stifled progress in this country is lack of political goodwill to continue the progress of the previous administration. The same applies to every county. I can give you counties where there were first-time governors. They're stagnant. Every new person comes with new ideas, and then the previous administration and policies remains the way it was. The vision for 2030 in this country, today we are in 2022, 8 years to actualizing this vision. There's nothing meaningful that has been done. Uhuru Kenyatta never picked from where Iabc left. So administrative continuity, which is one of the core agendas of Raila Amolo Odinga, that if Uhuru Kenyatta started this infrastructure development, these roads, he will continue from there. Does not mean you, when you inherit bad economy, the economy remains as bad as it is. If you look at the Raila Odinga's first 100 days plan, he's saying that the cost of the high cost of living has to come down. There's no way unga can be 20 shillings, double the price. Cooking oil, these are fundamental things that affect the common man.
So what is he doing about it right now?
Raila Amolo Odinga is not in government. Ruto is. Give me a moment. Ruto is. So the big difference between the two coalitions, my friend Raila Amolo Odinga is a liberator. He struggled for this country. He means well for this country. I'm telling you for a fact that Raila Amolo Odinga means his word. And as a young person, I look at him in the eye because I believe in him. I know that he's going to do this.
So it's belief. Let me ask you guys, because there's two major problems here.
Okay.
The one is the economy, which you have alluded to.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And let me start there because, I had the Deputy President, say there's nothing like the war in Ukraine. Prices are high, I've had Raila Odinga say we are going to reduce prices. I want to ask you, gentlemen,
yes.
Do you guys really believe that? Because, from where I sit, even today before I came to the show, I was looking at statistics globally. Britain, had a riot. You know that they parked their vehicles on the highway?
They did that?
They did that today.
Wow.
Go check it out on Twitter. Why? Gas prices. America is facing the highest gas price it's ever had. Ghana, Zambia, those are Googleable countries, are having the highest inflation rates they've ever had. Sudan across here is at 192% inflation rate.
Yes.
It's a global issue.
Yeah.
They're saying everything, they call it the perfect storm. So it's hard to imagine that Kenya would not be in a situation where we are. Even if we say, a government has caused that, which is possible because maybe we had taxes that came in, actually, we had the VAT increase in an administration, with some members of, even some of your coalition members, putting pen to paper on it. Now, the question is this. Who is going to reduce this thing, and by how? Without the rhetoric and the siasa of, what, unga is too high, tutakata. Yeah? And wananchi would love to hear that because all of us would like cheaper unga.
Can I go?
How do you think it's really going to happen? Or is it a mirage? In historia siasa?
I think we need to put our country first. And inflation right now is a global issue. And Kenya is not an exception. But we're looking at the next progression of this country. There's no way, with the high rate of unemployment and the way high prices are the way they are. I want to give you a bit of history or an example. The previous 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks, I've been in Mashinani, running up and down. I get to meet these people. Yesterday, I was in a place called Riyadh. Levi.
I know Riyadh.
Yes, we were giving people unga out of goodwill. And this was a campaign led by Raila Odinga's last born daughter called Winnie Odinga, getting out the people to vote. And when giving out unga, the kind of expression, the way you'd see the people excited, and man, this country is in a bad place.
Of course, you raise the price of unga and give free unga, people will take the free unga.
We need to debate objectively.
Yes.
Because regardless of the political divide, my brother, that woman in the village could be your auntie, your relative. These are people that we know.
And that's why we need to take our politics more seriously.
That's why I'm taking
these are real issues.
So
Raila Odinga Lavia said
that
he knows where the money is going. Uhuru Kenyatta in the last few months said we are losing 2 million shillings.
I was going to come to corruption.
2 billion shillings a day. So we know where the money is going, Lavi. We cannot lose 2 billion shillings as a government per day. So Raila Odinga is very clear that this money is going through, we are losing this money as a result of corruption.
So you know where the tap
And
is?
in his manifesto,
Why
on a
you
daily
not closing
basis, because he's not in government, Ruto is.
You need
So how did you find out where the money was going?
where the tap is, okay.
Uhuru Kenyatta is the president, and he gets the briefing from NIS, and he has verifiable information that this money actually gets lost. And in his manifesto, Raila Odinga is very clear on how he's going to fight corruption and strengthening these various constitutional bodies to ensure that this money is sieved and he will be able to use it well. And that is not the case. I listened to their manifesto launch on 30th. There's nothing about corruption. They didn't mention it.
Please.
They've never mentioned it.
No, there was something actually.
No. Those are,
But I hear you. You're going to close the tap of
Why are
corruption.
they crying about
so
will
we know
Uhuru
where
be
the
jailed?
money is.
We've been crying
So
about will Uhuru be
yeah,
jailed by Ruto.
that is the
Where is
money
that coming
we
from?
will
If we
use
didn't talk
to-
No, but I
about
hear you
the
guys. Let's not
prices
take on
alone.
each other. You say you're going to close the tap of corruption to fix that story. What's your solution?
Yes.
Before we get there, I'd like to backtrack a bit and talk about the global situation. It's true that when you look at a country like Britain, you'll find that they're going through inflation, probably much worse than other people. So is America. But the war in Ukraine is being prosecuted by US and Britain. And if you look at countries like Ghana and Zambia, we can't compare Kenya with Ghana and Zambia. And when there are global problems, economic problems, Kenya is not usually affected the same way. And the reason is Kenya's economy is not structured like any other country.
Yeah.
Because most
Do you know we are the only non-oil producing country that got a subsidy?
Exactly. So you see, most Kenyans are self-employed. Yeah, we're in the MSMEs. Yeah, out of formal employment is what, about 2-point-something million workers. So when you're looking at other economies out there where the bulk of them are in formal employment, and you compare with us, it can't be the same. I'll give you 2 examples. One was when Goldenberg threatened to take down this country. Yeah, economists around the world were telling us now Kenya is finished forever. It's going to be like Somalia. But what happened? We survived. We got through it, and we had Kibaki years, the best ever, right?
That's because we didn't borrow.
That's not the reason. It's because our economy, our money is at the bottom. Our money is in the informal sector. So if you don't touch that sector, Kenya survives. If you hurt that sector, Kenya will collapse. That's the thing that AZIMIO doesn't understand. And to prove this again, if you look at the global recession that happened in 2007, yeah, countries were, you know, so many countries had real estate prices crashing, but in Kenya it rose. And they've continued rising ever since, right? Which is like an opposite effect because Kenya's economy is driven from the bottom. It's an informal economy, not seen to everybody else. And that's why David Nd's perspective on the economy is unmatched.
So
in the whole
you're
world.
promising
so
us
when he gives us
that immediately after the inauguration, boom, we immediately
some of the first things we're going to do.
experience, you know,
You
we
know,
can troop to the supermarkets.
first things first.
Without
When we look
telling
at the
us where
price
this
of
money
when
will
we look
come
at the
from.
price of oil, yeah, and the price of petrol, there's a question there, because we were hearing that some people had bought oil last year and they were holding it somewhere, and that there are funny games being played with some people becoming bigger players than other ones. So once we stop that monkey circus going on around that oil, yeah, then things will stabilize. I can assure you Kenya is not in as deep problems as we're made to look. The problem that we have is that the economy is benefiting only a few people.
Okay, let me ask you, because the second thing I was going to talk about is the issue of corruption. And I think, I don't know how much time we have, just 9 minutes. But the issue of corruption, because, you know, he alluded to it, that, you know, the president did tell us, of course, that 2 billion shillings is being lost per day. If you ask any Kenyan walking on the street, they'll tell you, shida yetu kubwa ni wizi.
Corruption has only one medication:
Ni wizi.
free.
I would imagine that any manifesto would start with how we are going to deal with it. I mean, Wajakoya tells us he'll shoot people.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
it's
I
a little
support him.
extreme.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's he's got his things. But you know how much, you know, people are actually feeling that vibe of, you know, we have to do something.
Yes.
Okay, maybe
Yes.
not execute people,
Yes.
but we have to do something. Because even if we lay out wheat plans and the, you know, the emissaries of corruption are somewhere in the loopholes. That's why we are building, you know, trains with inflated prices, highways with crazy prices. We look at other countries and see that's why people are buying land on the road way before if we put a road so that they can sell it back to the government at inflated prices. That's why people are importing maize and, you know, making sure that they are raising it up beyond the excess that we have. How are we going to deal with that aspect? Isn't it foolhardy for us not to say, In fact, somebody said, if only we could have somebody who could walk in and say, look, my agenda is only one.
Finish corruption.
That's it. Zingine tutadil.
We have to remember that even our old school method of dealing with corruption is in itself corruption. When Barack Obama was the president, the FBI director called James Comey said that Barack Obama never called him even once. Yeah? And the US is run without corruption. And in fact, James Comey went and exposed Hillary Clinton's corruption, yeah, and she was the one supposed to succeed Barack Obama. Yeah? You remember when Mwai Kibaki was president, yeah? He also left institutions to run the way they were running. The only way you can deal with corruption is allowing institutions to do their job, so that if somebody goes to buy land on the road so that they can go and sell it to a company that wants to build a road.
But we are seeing institutions like ESCC,
then I can go to court and take him there.
Where we are seeing ESCC the other day saying that somebody can call me and threaten me. ESCC director telling us he can be threatened by an individual for checking into him. Surely that doesn't give us confidence.
Levy, we are very clear on how we're going to address corruption. The only person that has ever run for a political seat in this country that has been consistent. What
are you going to do about it?
How he's going to end the corruption? It's Raila Amolo Odinga. He's laid it out there clear. And that is why most of these folks, 2013, 2017, 2007, they were blocking him out of government.
Actually, you know, the only guy who looks like he knows what he's clear about how he's going to fight corruption now is Wajakoya.
No.
He's telling us I'll shoot
people.
What are you guys going to do?
Has a simple solution.
Let me tell you,
hanging people. Yeah.
But people are, it's
democracy is hard
work. It was my turn.
It
was my turn. You guys will not hijack my turn. To some extent, I'd want to agree with Wajakoya because the level of corruption in this country is crazy. We need to start shooting people. It's crazy. But at the end of the day, we have constitutional framework that allows for judiciary to do its mandate, which to me, judiciary is not empowered enough. We know people in this country, especially the flag bearer for the other side, has been mentioned countless times in corruption since I think I was politically conscious.
Nothing has been proven.
So I think independent institutions, especially judiciary, should be given a timeline. Raila Amolo Odinga is very clear. 2 months maximum. This issue, when taken to court, has to be resolved. Not going up to 11, 20, 30 years. Back and forth, back and forth. I remember there was an, I think in 2001, there was a corruption allegation that Ruto was mentioned. Until today, that thing has never been cleared. Raila Amolo Odinga is very clear. Constitutional framework, 2 months.
People get sick.
Yes, and then they get tired along the way.
Tomorrow you're in
yes, 2 months along the way. Now, our side, our running mate, Mheshimiwa Martha Karua, Raila Amolo Odinga is very clear that she will be able to also oversight, not oversight per se, but be the CS for constitutional affairs and these kind of issues. And that is how we're going to resolve these issues. We know Martha Karua as an iron lady. She is a stifler for constitution. She has been out there as an activist defending judiciary. And believe me, 2022 is a game changer. Raila Amolo Odinga becomes the president, these issues of corruption will become a thing of the past.
Very quickly.
And that is why I'm emboldened to support and vote for Raila Amolo Odinga.
For us, we maintain that the work of fighting corruption is not a president's job. Because it's so easy for a presidential candidate, or even a president, to come out and talk tough. Oh, I will hang corrupt people. Oh, I want a report in 8 days, you know. And that looks like you're doing something, but does anything really happen there? No. But if we allow the institutions to work independently, then it means that even I can go and take somebody to court. Yeah, even if it's Martha Karua, I take her to court, and I get my day in court. So that way, the job of fighting corruption is not just to leaders, but even to me. In Article 6, I'm also in chapter on leadership and governance. It's chapter 6, yes. Is it? Yeah. Yes, I also have that responsibility as a citizen to fight corruption. Yes. Yeah, but that only happens if our institutions are free. Our institutions come under capture by people who talk tough to fight them. Wajakoya talking about hanging people, where is that law? He'll have to maneuver
he said
something.
He'll suspend the constitution.
Exactly. Listen to that kind of solution. And then these are the guys, they're talking about having a deputy president at the same time occupying a cabinet seat, which is illegal in the first place. It is illegal. A deputy president cannot hold any other state office. Check the constitution. You see, if they were not so busy trying to change the constitution, they might, figure out that it's a bit illegal on their side to do that.
Yeah, the constitution is very clear that the deputy president is a principal assistant to the president and will be assigned roles by the president. Okay? So if
So
the
any role, even
president,
cabinet?
of course,
Can she
that's
be
a
given
role.
2 cabinet seats?
That's a role. So
No.
if you're assigned a role by the president, then as the principal assistant to the commander in chief. Yes.
We are almost out of time. I want to ask you guys to make your parting remarks, especially talk to the youth, because the youth are watching us, you know, and there are some people out there undecided, thinking, so sasa tutaenda wapi? Who do I vote for, and why? Who wants to go first?
I don't have a problem going first.
All right.
David.
Use your camera.
Today, we are 34 days to winning this election. And August 9th, I want to urge the members of the public that we support Raila Amolo Odinga for the following reasons, especially for young people. If you're listening to me today, I want to appeal to your conscience, appeal to your heart. I want to appeal to your heart and appeal to your conscience that this country has presented us with an opportunity to defend our constitution, to defend the future of our children, to defend our future. And for the sake of this country, we need to decide right now that as young people, we are going to vote for patriotism. We are going to vote for liberators. We are going to vote for people who really care for this country. And that is Raila Amolo Odinga, and we're safe in his hands. And as a young person and as a leader of young people in AZIMIO La Umoja, we are building an army of young people. And we are saying at the Blue Army, we are saying that in 2022, this election that we are calling a Mandela moment, where Raila Amolo Odinga, who's fought tirelessly for this country, who is going to be the president, sworn in as the 5th president of this republic, we are building an army. And anybody who wants to be part of that army, I want you to go and join AZIMIO. It's called AZIMIO La Umoja volunteer app. Go to Google Play, search Volunteer Village, where we are giving you an opportunity as a young person to go out there, recruit more people who will win this election. And we're saying this election and AZIMIO will be won by volunteers and young people who want to put this country forward. Our future is in that ballot, so let's choose wisely and vote for Raila Odinga.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Your last word.
For me, I'm not going to use any flowery language. I'll just keep it as simple as possible, because Kenyans today know that over 10 million people are jobless. Kenyans know that over 10 million people are stuck with Fuliza. That there are Kenyans today in West Pokot who are migrating to go into Uganda as refugees from hunger. So as a country, we do not need utopian ideas. We do not need leaders of the past. We need people who have a plan. And in Kenya Kwanza, we have a plan on how to revive the economy, on how to use the farmers that we have, the roads that we have, the cows that we have, and the resources that we have to make an impact that can affect all Kenyans and uplift our standards of living. So for Kenya Kwanza, I'd recommend for every Kenyan out there, go and interact with your fellow Kenyans as you discuss what's in our manifesto, and interrogate of the rest of them, Wajakoya and Raila, what else they have to offer, and compare it with Kenya Kwanza, and realize that we have a plan that works with the country as it is.
All right.
Levi, David here is a good thinker, and I like how he thinks and how he reasons. He's a very sharp guy. So because I've brought you a gift today, David, this is the manifesto for Raila Amolo Odinga and AZIMIO La Umoja. I want to give you a reason to vote for Raila Amolo Odinga. Please go through this. Thank you so much.
You're witnessing here. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for coming. I've really enjoyed the debate.
Thank you very much.
It goes on beyond this place, and it's good to have young people come here, exchange ideas,
Yes.
and not punch each other.
Yes, yes.
And we hope that replicates itself out there in the social places and things like that. And you realize that
We the youth
at the end of the day,
Yes.
Yes.
We do not
He
want to
can
see,
yet-
we don't want to see another baby Pendo
yeah,
in 2022.
Yeah.
This election has to be peaceful.
yeah.
Yes.
Are you guys confident with the IBC so far? I like how you went.
As long as, it's a process that has so many stakeholders on the table, yeah? So we continue engaging them and making sure that we're holding them accountable.
Yes.
Yeah, as we work together.
It's a relationship
for a
tunajenga.
free and fair free and fair election. Yes.
Give them benefit
I
of
think
doubt.
we will send that clip to Wafula Chebukati. So you can hear that first answer. We are all right, that's our opinion box today. Dennis MBANDA, he is a ZIMIO youth leader, as well as David MAINA, who is the leader of the
VIJANA
Nakazi UDA,
Yes.
United Democratic Alliance. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you
for
very
having
much, Levi.
Wish you all the best out there. I hope we keep on talking, even as we get closer to that date.
We'll see
Yes,
you more.
thank you,
I'll
thank you.
invite you on that ceremony for either day.
80% is lies. 80%
That's the
here is
opinion
lies.
box. Good night. God bless you. See you next week.
80%.